Hi all, we're going to do factor completely today. Okay, so the first one we have is 2x to the third minus 18x. Notice to the side I've already written out the factors for 2 and the factors for 18. So first step, our 6 steps are on the bottom. First step is greatest common factor. Well, the greatest common factor is 2. And then we look for the variables. We have an x to the third and we have an x to the first. We always go with the lowest exponent, so we know we have one x that can be pulled out. So now we know that we can divide each term by 2x. 2 times 2 is 2 divided by 2 is 1. So we know we can put a 1, but we don't have to. Then we have x to the third divided by x to the first. Subtract your exponents and you get x to the second. Put your minus sign in. 18 divided by 2 is 9. And then x to the first over x to the first would be x to the 0, which is 1. So we don't have to write anything for that. Okay, so now we're to, in our parentheses, we have x squared minus 9. So we do need to check and see, is that a binomial? And is that since it's a binomial, is it a difference of squares? It's a difference, subtraction. Are both of those squares? Yes, they are. So then we know we can have a difference of squares. So we know we have x, and 9. 3 times 3 is 9. So they're both squared. And we know difference of squares, we add 1 and we subtract 1. We are now done. It is factored completely. The second one. Once again, find your factors. And we see the largest one is 4. So we take out a 4. Divide each one by 4. The variables, not all of them have a variable, so we're only taking out a 4. X squared plus 5x plus 6. It's a binomial. Sorry, it's not a binomial, it's a trinomial. Is it a perfect square? The first and the third term will tell you it is not. So we go with the asterisk method. Our a term, remember you're only looking what's inside the parentheses. The a term would be 1, the b term is 5, and the c term is 6. A times c is on top, so 6 times 1, 6. The b term is on bottom, and your a terms are right on the side. And remember, those a terms, that's what's in front of our x. That's what's in front of our x. So if you want to put a little x there to remind you. So now all we need to do is find factors. So what multiplies to get to a positive 6? So a 1 and a 6, and a 2 and a 3, but adds together to get to a positive 5. Well, the only ones that would work would be a 2 and a 3, and it would have to be a positive 2 and a positive 3 to get to a positive 5. So I know that we have a positive 2 and a positive 3. Here are my factors. Don't forget your greatest common factor on the outside of your parentheses. And then we have x plus 2. And we have x plus 3. We do not have to write the 1 in front of the x. It is assumed. That is now factored completely. Let's go to the next one. Once again, I put your factors out to the side. We see that 6 is our greatest common factor. Look for your variables. There's not a variable on each one, so we're just using 6. So divide that 6 out, and you're left with x squared minus 2x minus 3. Greatest common factor, it's not a binomial, so look at your trinomial. Is the first term and the last term perfect squares? No. So we're back to the asterisk method. You need to find your A, your B, and your C. And remember that this is what is inside the parentheses. So the A is 1. We love when the A is 1. It makes it easier. B is -2. Don't forget the sign in front. And C is -3. Don't forget the sign in front. Now let's plug it in. A times C, -3. The B is on bottom, -2. Plug in your A's. And remember, this is what's in front of the X. I'll put my little X there so it reminds me. I make my little chart to help me. What multiplies to get me to a -3? Well, to get me to a negative number, one of the terms, the factors, has to be negative. Well, the only factors 3 has is 1 and 3. So one of those has to be negative. Well, I need them to add together to get to a -2. Well, since the 2 is bigger, I know that my 3 must be the negative, and then I must be adding 1. So then I have -3 and a +1. These are my binomials. Bring down your greatest common factor. X, the coefficient in front is 1, but we don't have to write it. And then we have a -3. Coefficient in front of X is 1. We do not have to write it. And then +1. Get that parentheses in there. You have now factored completely. Here's a YouTube video if you want to do some more. Have a great day.